Good afternoon and welcome to my channel for complex trauma recovery. My name's Linda, I'm a certified trauma recovery coach, and welcome to our beautiful global family where we actually do our proactive complex PTSD recovery, and we have our own peer support groups for free, and we do recovery for less than $1 a day. Okay, now today is one of those raw and real conversations that I get the opportunity to have with you, and it's about our abandonment wound. And I want to be able to share with you what happened to me recently, and also how you can recognize the abandonment wound if it's happening in your life. Because one of the main things that happened for me is I didn't even know I had it. And it's just mind-blowing to sit down and recognize it. So for those that are new here, in brief, I have an intergenerational abandonment wound that's been passed down. So my grandmother's mother had 4 girls and she walked away from them. Now this is back in the 1930s, 40s maybe, dark 30 anyhow, a long time ago, even though my nan is in her 90s and still here. Now then what happened for them is their dad wasn't around. He was off droving, which is like, you know, riding a horse, getting the cattle in, that sort of thing. And so back in the dark days, pre-internet by a long shot. And then those 4 girls got separated and split up and put with different family members. So they basically lost their mum, their source of, or centre of their world, their love, everything at that time. And then they lost their connection with each other over that time as well. So then it came down to my grandmother, who had my mother, and my mother lost her life through a lack of love from her mother, plus the abandonment wound handed down that she didn't know and never knew why her mother didn't love her. And I've had it straight from my grandmother's mouth that she didn't love my mother, which just absolutely shocked me to pieces. It was like, how can you hate your own child? Like, it's mind-boggling. Anyhow, then my mother wasn't able to show love to me, even though I loved my mum and still do immensely. It wasn't there for her. And we are so human in our interactions that if we haven't had it shown to us, modeled to us, it's not part of our life, and we don't go seeking information, then we stay the same as well. Now, I've been searching for answers all my life, my ad, and this unknown abandonment wound is at the core of just, it tore my life apart. So I lost all my cognitive functions, couldn't walk, couldn't talk, couldn't sleep, couldn't feed myself, had a full-time carer, and then I've had to work hard to get my life back. And to even further the evidence, at the time that that happened, I knew who I was, I knew I was here, but the impact of an abandonment wound that is left untreated is obviously very severe. So up until this day, I have been working really hard. I work hard to become well and to help other people. Now, 2 weeks ago now, I woke up one morning. I obviously was aware that I'd had nightmares that night. That's pretty normal for me, and I've realised it's a normal because when I go to bed, my brain is processing things and filing them away, so they can be very emotionally charged. And when I woke up, I recognised as soon as I put my feet on the floor that I was out of balance. So I literally sat on the edge of my bed swaying. And I was like, okay, so I've been holding my breath during that, which is normal because our brain gets triggered and we do hold our breath during our sleep. I say we, but I know it's more than me. And because of all the work I've done, I was very aware that that had happened that night. So as I stood up, I was very careful because I've gotten out of bed in a hurry before, not known this has happened, and fallen flat on my face. I seem to be pretty good at that. And it then, as I stood up, I began to feel all the energy running around inside of me, and it's like you can sense it around you as well. And as I move forward, I'm like, well, what is this? What's happening internally? And as I started to breathe, taking big, deep breaths, I could really feel how there was this deep fear of losing everything. And I've got these visuals of losing everything. And I'm thinking, but this isn't me. This isn't who I am. This isn't my life. And then I realized, I went, oh my goodness, these are these deep-seated fears that get passed on, and we don't even know it, and our whole system carries it. So as I took a few more steps and was quite like, wow, this is just, wow. I went forward and breathing. As I took the deeper breaths, it was like, it just started releasing off me and out of me. Now, if you've never had that experience before, that's okay. It's okay not to understand what was happening. I want to share that with you because it's so vital that we know these things are normal when we're releasing, that we feel all of this happening, okay? And then as I took a few more steps, I got this really compelling sense that that was only half of it gone. And I went, oh, wow, okay, only half of it gone. I went, this is really hard work, okay? And I went, for the life of me, I had done so much work on myself in the years before I lost my cognitive function. And this experience only reiterated it to me, like it reinforced it, that this is all at an unconscious level. This is all stuff that's carried on. And when without us, having any say, and our life gets derailed. And then I went, okay, so how can we explain this to people in a way that would make sense? And I went, I want you to think about if you walk into a room and somebody's angry, they don't have to talk or they don't have to say they're angry, do they? And you know they're angry. And then I want you to think about, do you take that anger on? Do you sense it around you? Does it impact your mood? Okay. And for many of us, somebody else being angry has a response or even a reaction. It's like, oh, well, they're angry again, or it's, what have I done wrong? I used to live in that space of what have I done wrong all the time. And my kids have helped me get out of that and recognize that somebody else is having their emotions, and that's okay. I mean, it's always been okay, but I've never been able to separate myself till they showed me how to go about that. Because they'd say to me, I'm an adult now, Mum. I'm responsible for how I feel, not you. Okay, so that was a big thing in my life. And then I realized that if we're taking on other people's emotional energy, then it's so probable that when all of these things happen, we carry that energy and it gets passed on. And we've proven that in epigenetics and all sorts of ways now. But it also goes into behaviour as well. So my mum actually abandoned me twice in my lifetime, physically abandoned me. Once overnight, I lost my entire family. Now, how representative of the past was that? It's there, and it's at this unconscious level that the patterns get repeated unconsciously. And we don't even know it until we build this conscious awareness in it. And one of the things that I fought really hard for is for my kids to understand all the dynamics of relationships and divorce, and what I always talk to them what to look for in a person, and so much more. Because I want them to be very conscious of the choices they're making when they go into a relationship. and conscious of the choices that have been made by myself and the people before me without the information we had. That's just a bit of an aside note. Now, after I had this release, okay, from my whole system, all of a sudden I could see a whole bunch of things that I'd never recognized before in my life that were part of my life. And this is why we need the healing, because until we have layers of different healing, we can't see things that are happening for us. That's the challenge, okay? So I was able to begin seeing that I couldn't complete things. So I've got like 20 ebooks or so or more half done or ready to be finished. But I'd get bored and not know that I was bored till I read all this stuff and I went, oh my goodness, that's me. I get bored and I go on. I'll do things like go to the kitchen and start cooking dinner and go, oh, that's right, my drink's in the lounge room. Then I see the washing that needs folding and I do that and then completely forget that I was cooking dinner. Then go and do the dishes. Oh, that's right, I'm cooking dinner. Then go back and get the glass, the drink. And, you know, therefore, I only get bits and pieces of things done. And memory, oh my goodness, I fought for my memory for so long. And depression, okay? It's absolutely driven me spare with the depression. And you've heard me talk about that in real and raw videos before too. And I couldn't for the life of me work out what was going on, but I knew that it had to be something at the brain level. So I went to the doctor and I was going to go and see a specialist, and then I couldn't get into my specialist. They're booked up for 2 years, which so many specialists are these days. And then another specialist that I was going to go and see, they had bad reviews and stuff. And I was like, 1 or 2 I could take, but there was a few more than that, and I went, oh, this just isn't working out. And I went, you know what? I work with the brain. I help people heal at the brain level. I need to know why all of this is happening. And as I went through and researched everything said it's a lack of dopamine. And I went, okay, so I'm going to go and look at the trauma, okay? And can trauma cause a lack of dopamine? Yes. So I'm going to do a video on dopamine and that'll come more, but I did find a solution. So this video is more about the abandonment wound, the release. Obviously there'll be more. And now I want to give you or show you, if I can find it, so that you can identify, hopefully, what's happening for you, and if there is an unknown abandonment wound happening in your life, I wanted to be able to give you a list that you can think about, okay, of recognising an abandonment wound. So I had the physicalness that I could see after a long time, but I want you to be able to ask these questions and see if it's happening for you, something that you might need to work on. So emotional abandonment is the result of a significant person discarding you, so walking away or dismissing you, devaluing you, or not acknowledging you. So even that comes under the emotional neglect wound, okay? So then you can ask, have I attracted people who are quick to leave, or toxic people who hang on to you, okay? Have you encountered emotionally unavailable partners? So you think, yeah, this person's right for me, and then you either get married or move in, and then you become aware that they're not emotionally available, and it doesn't matter how much you try and talk to them, they're not emotionally available. Have you become attached too quickly? So do you automatically meet someone and then you're attached to them, like there's real deep emotions and you're attached to them? Have you experienced being codependent? Do you feel unworthy of receiving love? You can give love, but don't know how to receive love or feel awkward about it. So think about, if somebody gives you a compliment, is that a challenge for you? Does connection with others make you feel unsafe even though you crave to be connected? So you want to be connected, but you're just about going to get connected and then you pull back. Okay? Do you people please? So will you step out and go above and beyond, but you've done it so much that now you feel empty? Okay? Do you believe everyone you meet is good before they prove you can believe they're good or can trust them? So do you give trust out, hand it out like lollipops, me? I used to all the time before somebody's proven they're trustworthy. Okay, it's a really good question. Do you have an intense fear of being alone and stay in toxic relationships beyond their use-by date? Okay, so these are some of the internal things that you can become aware of in order to recognise if there may be an abandonment wound happening for you. Obviously, they're the emotional signs, and I can say that they were there for me, even though I didn't know that I had this gorgeous abandonment wound from my family floating around on the inside. And I've no doubt that it goes beyond the generations of even my great-grandmother, to be honest. Okay, I hope you found this helpful, and let me know if you have any questions. Please know that you're not alone, and please know that we do have peer support groups for free that you can hook into, and all of the information will be in either the comments or the bit with the video. It's gone straight out of my head. The information with the video. Okay, thanks for joining us, and remember to subscribe, and more than anything, from our hearts, share for the millions and millions of people around this world who are still struggling with mental health and don't have a voice and don't yet know that healing is possible. Thank you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.